PRX.
Friends beyond binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's a podcaster who's going to say something about award winners. Then I realized there's a hot dog place at Disney's California Adventure called Award Wieners. And then I was thinking, is that called an award? Is there still a dog called, is that a dachshund that's a wiener dog? So do they have are the wiener dog, do they have, I'm sure they have a ceremony called Award Wieners for them. Here's the thing, the one in Disneyland, it's not award-winning wieners or hot dogs. It's a part of Disney's Hollywood land or Hollywood Row or something. I don't know what they call it. But if you say, you know what, I'm looking for a podcaster where that's a common thing. Whatchamacallit? I don't know. Good question. I don't know. Or like, if you're not looking for the answers, if you're looking for a podcast that keeps you company while you fall asleep, a friend in the deep dark night, a friendly voice that could just go on and on and on and soothe you into bedtime, maybe make you barely giggle. Like some people were, even though I wasn't saying, a podcaster that could not spell innuendo and then would have to look it up and then would try to think about 80s bands. I mean, they used innuendo, but doesn't that sound like a 80s band? Innuendo. It would be like, I guess you could do it like in excess, innuendo. When you break it down, it sounds even stranger. Like it's like some sort of code as part of an escape room. Now, if you're wondering, like sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you if you're already hitting eject on this podcast. But this show is very different. I make it because you deserve a good night's sleep. It does take a couple tries to get used to because this show is just very different. I'm more your friend in the deep dark night than some guru putting you to sleep. So see how it goes, what we got coming up here. This is the beginning of the show. Then we have support. That's how the show comes out free twice a week. Then there'll be a long, meandering intro that's meant to ease you into bedtime, to create a transition or to listen to while you get ready for bed or you start to chill out. You could fall asleep during the intro. And then there'll be our episodically modular series bedtime story that you could listen to in any order about great pets. What could be better? That's something that needs no innuendo. Now playing innuendo. So in excess is, what is it? In excess, innuendo. Endo. I guess you'd still need the endo. Endo. What if it was, I guess if I had like some sort of bakery, I guess there's probably a bakery called that. They say, yeah, we sell those cakes that make you sweat. That was a unreleased CNC Music Factory. Talk about deep jokes. Cakes that make you sweat. That was a song that didn't make it into a Disney animatronic show called Food Rocks, but it should have. So anyway, it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that's here. It's a strange little show that's here to put you to sleep. These are the sponsors that enable us to do it for you for free twice a week. Hey, everybody, it's time for a podcast recommendation from your buddy Scoots. You know, I bring you new stories twice a week here, but if you're looking to add more relaxing stories to your sleep schedule, I wanted to tell you about a podcast I love. It's called Meditative Story, and in each episode, you'll hear an intimate first-person story from someone about a moment where everything changed for them. But just like on my show, the storytellers are filled with surprises. Recent Meditative Story guests include a professional stuntman, a nature photographer, and an astronomer. And one of my favorite parts about the show is the way it weaves mindfulness prompts into the narrative and wraps up each episode with breathtaking music. Again, the show is called Meditative Story, and I hope you'll check it out and follow along in your favorite podcast player. That's Meditative Story. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, it is time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone, the one part of the podcast I need you to hear. It's where I pop my peas. If you please, I thank the listeners who supported the sponsors. And that's really how we're able to be here for free twice a week. And all the work that goes into the show is listeners like Tori. Tori supported Helix, got a Helix Lux. They sleep on their back. Thank you so much, Tori. If you support a sponsor, make sure to use our link or our coupon code. And don't forget to let the sponsor know. Send them an email, hit them on social media, tag me. I'll try to thank you here on the Sleepy Supporter Zone. Fill out the form at Sleepy Supporter Zone or at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sponsors so I can thank you as a part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone like Tori. Second part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone is you getting the support you need right now. If you're in need of extra resources, there's resources in the show notes. It's about being a part of community, being a part of positive change, not just saying Black Lives Matter, not just saying stop AAP, I hate, not just saying support Ukraine, but learning more and taking action. There's links to resources where you could do that in the show notes. And one of the things we're doing as a community is building hygiene kits for people experiencing homelessness and supporting the Midnight Mission in downtown Los Angeles. And you could learn more and take part by signing up for our newsletter at sleepwithmepodcast.com/midnight mission. And that's it. Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on this show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Posterson sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound or on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support your scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Hannah like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
Thanks, Mystery Bard. I'm at Dearest Scooter on Twitter and Instagram. What do you say we slow it down and get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you can set aside whatever's keeping you awake. It could be thoughts about the past, the present, the future, thinking stuff. So anything on your mind to thoughts. Oh boy, were those there last night. Thoughts, feelings, anything emotionally coming up for you. Feelings about the thoughts or other stuff. Physical sensations, changes in time, temperature, routine. Whatever it is that's keeping you awake. It could be, you could have something coming up. You could be going through something. There could be, other things going on. Whatever it is, I'm here to help. And the reason I bring up all that stuff is so you're not alone in the deep, dark night. And I don't mean just because you're listening to the show. I mean, because a lot of other people are listening right now. And myself and a lot of other listeners, we know how it feels. We might not know exactly what you're going through, but maybe we could relate to it, to how it feels, or just relate to the fact that, hey, it must be tough. And to the fact that you deserve a good night's sleep. That's the most important thing. If you never listen to this podcast again, I hope you take that away. You deserve a good night's sleep. You deserve a bedtime you could look forward to, or at the very least to feel neutral about. And last night, I'm not kidding, I had to come up with a 5-part plan for bedtime because I have this cold and it was causing me bedtime issues, which I'll try to go over in an indirect way in a second. So I can relate, but you might not be going through the same thing I'm going through, but maybe we say, okay, there's some things we share. And maybe there's someone out there going through something similar. So I'm glad you're here. The way I help is I send my voice across the deep, dark night. I use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, and superfluous tangents, all to go off topic get mixed up, get confused, and stuff like that. All to keep you company while you fall asleep, which is different. This show, well, a few things to note. This is a podcast that takes getting used to. For most people on the first try, it's just more, you're more skeptical or doubtful, or the show is almost irritating because you're wondering, when are you going to get to the sleepy stuff, dude? Dude, where's the sleepy stuff? That was a movie that wasn't made. I don't know if that was the 90s when those movies were popular. Dude, where's my sleepy stuff? I think I've gotten that email before. And they say, I don't know, because mine's more of mine's gooey stuff. Pointless meanders. But the reason people say that, I mean, if you're like myself and a lot of listeners, tried a lot of different stuff to fall asleep, and it can be frustrating because none of it works on a regular basis, at least for me. And you try different stuff, and then somebody tells you about this weird sleep podcast, and you're listening. And one, this is a show you don't really listen to. You can listen. I'm here for over an hour to the very end to keep you company, but you don't have to listen. You can kind of just barely listen to me. But whether you're listening or not, I'm not even here to put you to sleep. I'm here to keep you company while you fall asleep, or if you fall asleep. It's no big deal if you don't, because I'm here to the very end, and you could listen to episode after episode. And there's people that just can't sleep that listen to the show or that need a break during the day. So I'm here. There's no pressure to fall asleep at all. I'll be here keeping you company. I'm here to be your boar friend, your boar bae, your boar sib, your boar bud, your boar bestie, your boar burr, your neighbor, your boar friend, your boar bud, your dude with the sleepy stuff, dude. I don't know. I guess I use that too often, but that's the thing. Your sleepy dude. I think more than one partner has called me that before, sometimes with additives that are derogatory, but that's fine. Cause I mean, I'm not here to, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So it's a podcast you don't really listen to, doesn't really put you to sleep, does take some getting used to. Also, the structure of the show throws people off, but the show's structured in a very deliberate way to help as many people as it can. So show starts off with a greeting. Friends beyond the binary, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, et cetera, et cetera. I say something silly, so you feel seen and welcome. You say, hey, I might be able to check that podcast out. Then there's support, so the podcast can be free, or, you can pay to not get ads, but that way you don't have to pay for it if you don't want to, or if you can't. The podcast is there, over 500 episodes when you need them. Then there's an intro, which is separate from the support, and I want to say it's separate from the support so you don't miss out. Because I don't know, sometimes when people object to the support, then they object to the intro, which is a show within a show. And it's really, I'm not trying to brag because I never thought it was possible, but it's like not a majority of listeners' favorite part of the show, but a large number of listeners' favorite part of the show. Because it's meant to ease you into bedtime, not so much to put you to sleep. It could put you to sleep, or you could skip it. 2 or 3% of people start the show 20 or 30 minutes. But the intro is meant to help you wind down and get some distance from the day and to ease you into bedtime, whether you're getting ready for bed or you're doing some other unwinding, chill activity, or you're in bed getting comfortable, or you're contemplating how happy you are for your partner who's sound asleep, like all of us are so happy as we cross our fingers and our toes for them. Oh, so happy for them. Or maybe you fall asleep. That's cool too, but that's what the intro does. It's a buffer zone, kind of. And for some reason, Michael Buffer just popped in my head. Not a bedtime, not a good voice, but not one for bedtime. And then, I can't even do a Michael Buffer. But they'd say, the luller from, the luller who can't come up with more because he's got too many, the most pointless of the pointless meanderer. The pointless meanderer. Hailing from, but so, what was my point there? Oh, whatever it is, that's the intro. Then there'll be our bedtime story. Then there's some thank yous at the end. So that's the structure of the show. But like I said, like the other night, I couldn't sleep. I had this cold. I couldn't sleep. You couldn't sleep. I talked about it in another intro, but these, I record them out of order. But so tonight, before I went to bed last night, I said, let me come up with a plan during the day, because I got to at least feel because I was already feeling not looking forward to bedtime and going through that again. So I came up with a plan, some of which I won't fill in the details just because of what was keeping me awake. I couldn't quite nail it down. I was like, I don't think I had any caffeine after 2 p.m., but, I'll make sure I don't have any afternoon, 12 p.m. yesterday. Then I decided to switch up the book I was reading, because I was reading a more in-depth book. I don't think the content was keeping me awake, but it took more focus than I normally have available at bedtime. Too many brain cells or whatever. I said, well, maybe I got one too many. I don't have a lot of those. So when the more than one's firing. So I said, let me find a book that's a little bit more chill, a little bit easier for me to read. Then I had to do twice, once after I cleaned myself up, and then once before bed, I did some balming, full balm, just because I had some dry, that was once I don't want to put the ideas in your head, but I had to do a full balm so that my skin felt oh so soothed. And, or at least I said, okay, I got that covered. Not if it comes up, it's in, I'm just, my thinking is going to cause it. But I said, I'm fully balmed, moisturized, with an underline. Double underline it. Moisturized, double underline it. Never been said before maybe on planet Earth. But now that's really what happened. And that now I'll say that to myself. Moisturized, double underlined. Sounds like I'm a bad boy, but you say, except for the content of your message. So I had that. I did take, because I got to take an NA medicine. So I took some NA cough medicine. And I said, okay, I got that covered. New book, balming. I can't, no beverages, because you're supposed to drink a lot when you don't feel good. But then I said, well, that can interrupt things. I think there's one or two other things in there. Oh, I think I raised the volume on my noise machine because I have a water spout. It's been raining too. This sounds like a little bit of no complaints here. These are just things I'm trying. I don't know if any of this is relatable, but they have this rain spout. So, usually if I lived anywhere else, the rain would be great. But it's for me, it's inconsistent water coming out of this spout hitting the ground. So that was another thing I did. And I made the adjustments. Guess what? And mostly it was about having more of, and then I started winding down. I did my pretty normal wind down routine. Where I pet my dog, do some meditation, write down some stuff about my day. I did not foam roll, but I guess I could do that tonight. And then, it worked. It worked because I was when I got to bed, I said, okay, I feel a little bit better. I feel soothed. So anyway, I've been there, I guess is what I'm saying. And I'm more having a wind down routine and trying what you can and then adjusting. So I'm glad you're here. I guess it's in the end. I know the most important thing is having a bedtime you don't have to dread. So you can get the rest you need so your life is more manageable. Whether this podcast can provide it or not, you could check out the shows at sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. But I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you took the time to check this podcast out. I really appreciate it. I work really hard, and so do a bunch of other people on this show. We all yearn and strive, and we really hope we can help you fall asleep. Thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple ways I'm able to do it for you for free twice a week. Sleep With Me is brought to you by Progressive, home of the Name Your Price tool. You say how much you want to pay for car insurance, and they'll show you the coverage options to fit your budget. It's easy to start a quote. Visit Progressive.com to get started. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Right, everybody, it's time for our episodically modular series, Make Great Pets. It's a tale about pets trying to help people. It's more convoluted than that and, full of lulling, meanders and those kind of things. But the great part is it's it's also a training module, so the main character will introduce more of the concepts. But imagine... we all know pets make life better, but what if there was a program, kind of like a guardian angel, where your pet sometimes would be there when you're at a turning point and, help support you as you made a turning point, decision. I don't know. That's what it's about. It's it's an episodic modular series, meaning you can listen to it in any order. Particularly this series, I don't want to say it's the most episodically modular, but oh boy, does it have a touch of seriality, but mostly it's episodically modular. And you know who moves like a module is our Hollywood announcer who comes from, this is his hobby. He comes from Los Angeles. It's a time-consuming hobby. He drives from Los Angeles to my place, waits for me to be prepared for him, comes in relative silence, announces the show, and we've been playing a different game lately. And what we've never played before is Color Coup. So maybe we'll play a little Color Coup together. I don't think we have. And then he returns to L.A. It's our Hollywood announcer, Mr. Antonio Banderas. So ladies and gentlemen, the boys and girls, the friends beyond the binary, it's time to make great pets. Meow. I'm looking forward to playing Color Coup with you. Thanks, everybody. Good night. And don't forget to catch Antonio's movie, or I guess when this comes out, maybe you have something else out there. I prefer you not to be animated in your behavior when you're here, when I'm recording the show. But oh boy, do you make for delightful animation. And that's it. It's time for Make Great Pets. Thanks, everybody. Hello, this is Rin. This is a recording, training recording. I'm both a trainee and I guess a trainer of this new program where, as part of my post-earthly existence, I volunteered to be a part of this program and record my experiences. And I was prepared for this, as far as I know, this is a new program. Now, there is a new thing that's come to my awareness since the last training program I recorded, but I don't know if you'll be listening to these in any order, so I'm going to treat it just like this is the first time you're listening to me, like a training module that you could listen to in any order. So I'm part of the program. I guess I'm calling it the Make Great Pets program now, which really is not a apt description, but let's see. So I'll introduce introduce myself to you. I'm Rin, and after my post-earthly existence, I was offered this opportunity to be a part of a program where pets would help people during a turning point in their lives. And we're a part of the pet, or we go into the pet, and we're able to subtly help the pet, or as the pet, be there to help this person during their turning points and maybe guide them. And we don't have a lot of influence, and the values I was under the impression we're supposed to help the person with is to make choices that are additive to their lives and other people's lives. And that probably offers some, this turning point has long-term benefits for them. And most important things I've learned so far is that you could do your best, usually influencing them through some sort of artistic expression within the limits of your pet helps. Listening seems to be the most important thing. Though I'm having trouble right now. Wait, let me get through everything else you need to know. Oh, where did this program start? Well, as far as I know, you've probably heard once upon a time of the myths of guardian angels. And maybe you're even already, as a part of your post-earthly training, you said, okay, so I heard how there was guardian angels. Then there was the Bezos Penny incident or Cash Bezos Penny Sears incident. I get it all mixed up, where there was no more guardian angels. And then they tried guardian people from like guardian influencers that had taken a post-earthly existence in another place from their bad choices. And I think it was Bezos Penny Sears, some sort of coalition. They decided, hey, maybe having these people that made bad choices in their lives, giving them an opportunity to help people make good choices on Earth would work. And that didn't work out for anybody. But this opportunity has come up after other tries where they said, what if it was just pets? Pets are already helpful. And what if pets had a limited opportunity to help people during a turning point in their lives? Would that make it, maybe we don't need something so obvious. Now, I thought this was the only initiative underway, but there seems to be some other initiative, which I'll call the Cinda Initiative, because I've been coming. Now, this one, they do have more. This is like some sort of person. Their names seem to rhyme with Cinda. And each of the people I've been there to help, and they're trying to help the same person I'm trying to help, but help them make more decisions. I guess I would say they have short-term benefit or just benefit for them, and more efficient decisions. I don't know. Decisions I don't see as the best, so maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But that's a little bit in my head today because I'm just saying, well, when are we going to encounter this person whose name rhymes with Cinda? And now I'm aware of them. I know they're aware of me. So I don't know. That's just added, I guess. Oh, so how's this helping a trainee? So you may encounter someone so I don't know. I guess part of today's training, I'm going to be looking out for this person, but maybe you shouldn't be looking out for them. But I don't know. Maybe they're just a person. Maybe it's just a person in the people's lives. There's just a coincidence or something. And they're trying to help them make what I would call short-term gains at the expense of their long-term. But I mean, if you're in post-earthly existence, you may say, how do you tell me about it? So it's a little bit confusing as this process is and why it's a learning process. But let me get to where I am, because I am here to help someone named Taryn. What kind of pet am I? So this is the who, what, where, when, why, how that I try to start off with. And that usually helps me, and going through it with you helps me as well. So who is Taryn? Who am I? I'm a pet. I'm a small dog. But I kind of have medium length hair, a furry tail, lots of energy. Most energy I've felt as a pet so far. And, we'll get to my name and stuff. That's a part of the what. What. We're getting ready to leave on a journey tomorrow. And the most important part of the journey, I don't know if this is what seems to be, there's a lot of alarms set for tomorrow because Taryn is very concerned with being on time for where we're journeying to. We're leaving early. We're leaving actually a full day, and then some. We have a day buffer. So it's a day journey. We should be getting to our destination a day early. So we have plenty of time, so we are on time. And Taryn is both excited and nervous and kind of great things are expected to unfold. We are headed to Bosun Castle on Island. And that I is EYE Island, which is surprising because you'd think Island would be I. So it's Island. I thought it would be AYEI. Or I guess Island. I didn't even think about that. Island starts with an I. This is EYE Island. But if the island was talking about itself, it'd say Island. I wonder if there was like three if it was the islands, like if there was three islands, one was Island, one was Island, and one was Island. Like one could be, say, I'm Island of the Isle Islands. And the ultimate irony is that my name is Island. And I think related to all this, all this is related, because Taryn has kind of won an opportunity for a meet and greet kind of pitch, to meet the author of the Bosun Castle Mysteries. So that's why we're going, is Island. Bosun Castle's on Island. It's the EYE Island, and it's famous, but it was originally kind of like a place, it's got a long history, but then it has a fictional history, which is what became a part of this. So the author had visited, like there was a castle built on Island that was never completed. Then it became a place where it became a park, a national park or state park or something where people would visit and see this nearly completed castle. Pretty grand, trying to think of like a Winchester Mystery House type thing, but without the mystery. But then the author took the mystery and created the mystery. Now, I don't know how you get more than one. This is a series of books. I think you'd probably I would max out at 3 books. I'd say, okay, one mystery of this, then a mystery of that, then, okay, I could probably come up with a third mystery of Bosun Castle, but this author's been prolific. So tomorrow we're catching a train to go to Island and meet with this author and get a tour of of Bosun Castle and Island from the author of the Bosun Castle Mysteries. But Taryn also has expectations that this is like a professional opportunity to pitch the author. And it's I'm not totally clear on everything because, I'm only been here not even 24 hours. But my understanding is that it was some sort of like a competition, but not a contest. So we're going to rest and catch a train tomorrow to head towards where we would catch the ferry to go to Island and Bosun Castle. So I guess I'll talk to you immediately, but for me it'll be until because part of my training when the pet's asleep at night normally. I record these within the pet's dreams or something. I don't know how spiritual technology is beyond me. I'm just sitting here talking inside of a pet's subconscious or something. But I also need to rest, which is, so it's like I have to make sure I get my sleep too. And like it's tough usually I'm just in the pet's space, but right now I'm imagining I'm sitting in a chair talking to you. Anyway, so I'm going to get some rest and I'll talk to you soon. Okay, hey, it's Ren here. So a couple things. The train was late. It was very late, and I think this is a common thing with trains here where we are. And anyway, this was supposed to be the easiest or the most direct way to get there. We could have gone by other means, but this was supposed to be the way also that's part of the journey. It's part of the story and we were instructed to take the train. So the train was very late, but we're a day ahead of time. So the fact that it's late is we're on the train still. So Taryn is sleeping, and I'm sleeping on the train. It was so late that by the time it came and we started the journey, it became time to sleep on the train. But there's not that many people on the train, and the seats are very big. But definitely the intensity as the time ticked by, when you have a time buffer, but you also have a ticking clock, Terrence started really saying, it's okay, the train's going to come. We got plenty of time. And then trying to even think of like a backup plan or whatever. But I've been concerned. And then I keep wondering, is the author going to be the Cinda person that's in competition with us? Is it going to be, because usually it's someone with a personal relationship to the person I'm helping. That seems to be my competition. So then I'm like, I'm trying to be on my A game. But right now, all I could do is like lick Taryn's hand and stuff. Because there hasn't been any choices other than trying to stay calm while waiting for the train, and now just being a part of the train. So not a lot of updates. We're on a train. We're headed towards the destination where we'll catch the ferry. The ferry also has a set schedule, but that one just goes to Bosun Island and comes back. So I can't imagine it's like the train where it could be delayed by over 12 hours. So I guess I'm going to get some rest. Not a lot happened. A lot of hand licking, being petted and snuggling and trying to make making cute faces and just wagging my tail kind of comes natural. So I'll be back when I have in about 24 hours or so. Okay, hey, it's me, Ren. I'm back. And it is not nighttime right now. It is, well, I'm asleep, but I figured I fell asleep. Taryn fell asleep. We're very tired because sleeping on the train, especially for Taryn, so the train stopped moving and we all woke up, or Taryn and I woke up. Because, the rocking of the train is nice. That helps with sleep, And did I mention right now I'm on a boat sleeping, but I'll get there. Now we still have time, so it's daytime now, and we don't have to actually catch the ferry till tomorrow morning. So we should be okay. Though it just doesn't I'm feeling like I'm doing a lot of fretting, but I'm not sure what I'm fretting about. So the train stopped, right? And we woke up, and at first we just waited, and Taryn looked at me and petted me, there's no cell phone service here. So checked phone, not working, no Wi-Fi. Saw the time. It was early in the morning, but so it interrupted our sleep. That's why we're sleeping now in this boat. We both fell asleep, I guess. Because usually when Taryn wakes up, it wakes me up, or Taryn wakes me up. Okay, but eventually we didn't start moving for a certain number of time, and so Taryn said, "Okay, it was looking around, nothing." Okay, let's go, use a restroom. Well, can my dog, luckily thinking of me. So, can my dog use the restroom? Yeah. What's happening? Well, why don't you use your dog, let your dog use the restroom, but be careful because we're on, and they had a flashlight, the conductor person. And we're on, I don't know what they call this thing, on one side is a river, and on the other side is a swamp, and we're on dirt running through that. I don't know if they call that, if that's what a causeway is. but there's room on the side for me to use the bathroom. And, then we got back on and Terrence said, so what's going on? And they said, well, there's a tree fell, on the tracks. So we're waiting for what? What's going to happen? And they said, well, we're waiting, for our instructions, on what to do about the tree. And, what do you mean instruction? Can't you just push the tree? Can we back up? Is somebody going to come move the tree? Well, we don't know. We're waiting for instructions. They said, well, the person gets in at 7. They can give us instructions on what do you mean? You don't have somebody? They said, okay, well, we're doing our best here. And, then we waited, and again, this was, I started to feel, because I had so much energy as a dog, I was I felt like I was, with Taryn's energy, but then having my own energy. You'd think for something small, you'd have less energy. But is it like we have the same batteries as a big dog? And I don't know. You never hear that said. It's not easy being a small dog. And eventually they said, we waited till 7. Then they said, okay, well, we haven't heard back. It's 7:05. That's when Taryn and I went in. They said, we haven't heard back yet. 7:30. No, okay. They're sending somebody out. On a train. I don't know. They're sending somebody out. And then, we did stuff like breathing, reading, and that kind of stuff. And so then, to try to distract ourselves, right? And then, Terrence said, it was again, the sun came up, very beautiful here, by the way. And then Terrence said, well, I got to take my dog back out. But I said, well, I didn't make, any of my motions that I had to go, but I guess I could go. And again, the train was they were serving food, and there's not that many people on the train. Everybody's kind of, feeling the same way. But I don't know if anybody else has the same time crunch as Taryn. So, but the other thing I noticed is that Taryn started walking towards the front of the train. And other people got out to kind of stretch their legs and stuff. And we could see the tree, right? It was in the tracks. And I guess it was on a long straightaway. So the engineer or the train locomotive driver, I don't know. They were able to see it from far away and just slowly slow the train down. They said because it was a full moon. And there's a very big tree. And it's over the tracks. The tracks look fine though. Because we walked up to it and they said, ma'am, please, we give the tree some space. And then we went back and sat for a while. And again, I said, what is my job here? Also, I'm just still thinking about this Cinda person, right? And I'm trying to, sit patiently. And I thought of okay, let's play because I have energy anyway. I don't want to play. So then we played fetch, and actually other people on the train got a kick out of that. There was a couple of kids. They were throwing me a ball, so that was fun. But then we started playing with my pull toy, just like a rope, and Terrence said, wait a second, and then we went back, and went to the bathroom again. And Terrence started asking, if there was any rope on the train. And they said, well, why? And then Terrence said, well, what if we, couldn't you just back the train up? We'll put a rope around the tree, and you could just back up the tree and pull it off the tracks. And they said, well, we got to wait for the person to come, and they'll tell us what to do. And Terrence said, well, but we could just try this while we're waiting. And they said, well, that's not the procedure. And Terrence said, well, but, we could try while we wait, let's at least do we have any rope on the train? And for a little while, it seemed like they were going to kind of go along with it. But I honestly think that in the end, they were just humoring Taryn and buying time because they said, okay, like, yeah, looks for some rope. And then they said, okay, yeah, like, well, we have this rope and we get to go. Oh, by the way, this train does have a caboose. So we got to go in the caboose. It's like a storage place for like shovels and other train stuff. Have not felt very useful though, because then, so the river, there's boats that came right up, and they like, so it's been getting busier and busier on the river too. And boats are going by, like pleasure crafts and stuff like that. People going out, and coming back and so whatever, we were working on rope and then standing and talking to people on the boats. And they said, there's a tree. Oh yeah, we could see the tree and all that stuff. And then we were kind of and then they said, listen, and then Terrence said, well, where's the person? No, well, listen, we can't attach anything to the train and start pulling on a tree. So like, even with the rope you found, it's not a good idea. And then Taryn kind of tried to do, like, she pretended I was a tree, and she was a train, and tried to said, look, it's going to work. And they said, the locomotive's different than a dog. And she said, I'm the locomotive. My dog is the tree. But she said it in a very, way that was not endearing to anyone. So they said, ma'am, please return to your seat after that. But we didn't. We like sat and we were talking to people on the boat. And then the people on the boat, like, I guess because if you're headed on a pleasure cruise, I don't know, people are just making talk. And finally, this one boat was like, what's with the glum face to Taryn? It was, well, I got to be somewhere and we don't know when someone's going to come. And where are you going? Oh, I got to Bosun Island, Bosun Castle. And, I actually have to be there. I have to make the ferry, like the last ferries at whatever time. And I'm having dinner and getting a tour of Bosun Island. And they said, okay, the ferry's in whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they said, we're headed in that general direction. Like we could give you a ride. And, I guess I don't know if they were paying full attention though. But they said, like Terrence said, all right. And then grabbed our stuff and we got in this boat. Everybody friendly boat, by the way. And then the people on the train started like raising their voices at Taryn, but the boat took off. And then we started going for a while. And then Taryn said, how long, will it take? And they said, well, we got to see. There's a couple, we're going to go down this. And then they're looking on the charts. And they said, okay, we got to take a couple of canals to get there. It's going to take a while. But then they kind of like, but they said, just rest. And we were kind of tired. We got up early, didn't sleep so great. And again, another motion took sleep to. So we're on the boat, we're falling asleep. So I'm asleep, but it's not nighttime. So we're on a boat. And, we still have, I guess, 9 hours to get there. And from what I could see it seems like it's going to be okay. And again, right now I'm snuggled, sharing warmth with Taryn. So I think I'm doing my job. I don't know, but I guess the turning point for me is trying to, I don't know. So I don't know what I'm doing either, I guess. And I have this back in my mind, am I in a competition? Is someone else going to sweep in? Is somebody on this boat named Cinda? I didn't catch everybody's names on this boat. But I guess I'm going to rest now, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, it's me, Ren. I'm back. A lot to fill you in on. Okay, and I guess I should start where I left off. because I'm not here to tell you a story. I'm here to tell you a story of me learning how to do my job or what I was a trainee in learning. And I guess one thing I've learned, this is a process, holy cow, but I have learned a powerful new thing. And I'm really, I really need this sleep. So we were on the boat, and eventually we woke up again when the boat started going slow. And it was going really slow, and the time had gone by. So now we're in this 3 to 4 hour zone till the last ferry to Bosun Island for the dinner tour, where we wouldn't be on time. And because we're sleeping at Bosun Castle, Island, sorry. And so Terrence says, why are you going so slow? Because the boat was going really slow. Oh, this is a no-wake zone. Okay, well, how long is this no-wake zone going to be? But Taryn went already from, picked up where we left off on the train. There were some pleasantries when they offered to help us, right? But now there was not. And Taryn said, can't you go any faster? And they said, no, C5, whatever. I don't know, whatever the speed limit. There's a speed limit, basically, for boats. And they explained this. They said, see all these other boats that are parked, and there's people in tubes enjoying themselves, people swimming, people with, dockside whatever. If you create a wake, it creates bumps and scratches boats, might tip over that inner tube, knock over that whatever bird sculpture. This is a no-wake zone. And Terrence said, yeah, but we're in a hurry. And they said, don't worry. And they but I am in a hurry. And they said, well, there's nothing we can do. And Terrence said, you could go faster. And they said, we can't go faster. And Terrence said, you can go faster. You're refusing to. They said, no, it'd be wrong. And we could get a ticket, but we have a boat, and we wouldn't want, you understand, this is kind of like boating, if our boat got scratched, we wouldn't be happy about it because someone was hurt. But this is special. And they weren't, obviously, this is kind of in this sense, it was an all or nothing situation, like a no-wake zone, unless you're going to disregard the rules. For these boaters, it was, they weren't going to disregard the rules. And Terrence said, well, how much longer? And they said, actually, this one's about to end, but there is a couple more, just so you know. And at first, Taryn, said, just walked away. And they were kind of they seemed to be losing their patience with Taryn. Then we got to another no-wake zone in a more of a remoter area, which is important because there's another no-wake zone, less stuff. We came across this summer camp, and there's a no-wake zone because all these old rowboats. And Terrence said, what is going on? And they said, well, these are these old summer camps. They're not in use anymore. But there's a goal to restore them. But Terrence said, so you're not going fast because of these rowboats? How many rowboats are there? And something happened where they said, we could just let you out here at the summer camp. And maybe because they said, actually, you're probably right. They actually didn't it didn't become confrontational from their perspective. But they said, you're right, you're in a hurry. We have to follow these no-wake zones. And so maybe we'll just let you out to this camp, this summer camp. There should be someone there. There should be a phone. At least you could call a cab or use your cell. Terrence said, there's no service, but thanks a lot. And I found myself starting to bark. Now, they thought I was barking at them, but I was kind of barking out of just frustrated feelings, but also frustrated a little bit with Taryn. And so, yeah, that was a situation, right? And so we got off the boat at the summer camp, and we started to look around. And there was a payphone, but it was not in service. Then there was no cell service. So then we started walking up, looking for buildings. And we went to a couple of the dorm buildings were open, but they're just bunk beds and stuff. Like wooden bunk beds, no mattresses in them anymore, a little bit musty. And then we got to the administration building. It was locked up. And we found a map of another camp, the next camp over. And we tried to get Taryn tried to get into this camp, the administration building, but it was locked really well. And it had wooden shutters, so you couldn't get in any of the windows. And Taryn even tried to break but we saw this map that this was part of I don't know, different type, I don't know. I don't understand summer camps. So we walked to the next summer camp. Similar situation, no payphone at all. But Taryn ended up being able to get into the administration building, which was in use. And again, I was barking, and Taryn thought I was barking as a lookout. And I was saying, no, don't do this. And so now this is where I kind of have an aside that I feel like trying to remember Jiminy Cricket, right, was doing the same job we were. And now I think Jiminy Cricket was not a pet. And so I was trying to recap because I started to feel like Jiminy Cricket was always like what you would call a worrywart, right? And the Jiminy Cricket, at least in my memory, was not super effective. So it's like when Pinocchio became a sentient or whatever, gained consciousness, is that when Jiminy Cricket appeared as Pinocchio's consciousness, right? But let's pretend Jiminy Cricket was part of another program instead of being inside a pet during a turning point, a sentient pet assigned or sentient, what if they just used grasshoppers to help people? And I said, okay, but Jiminy Cricket was because I feel like there was a part where Pinocchio said, oh, okay, I'll go do this stuff with you guys, Fox and, whatever, forgot what Rutherford or whoever it was. Oh, Honest John. And part of it was that Pinocchio seemed like a little bit naive, but Pinocchio was also making choices, right? And said, okay, well, I'll make this choice, and then I'll make this choice. But I was like, did Jiminy Cricket ever help Pinocchio or not? And this is just, again, my remembering of it as part of my training. And I said, here I am, pulling a Jiminy Cricket, at least in my own terminology. Maybe your training will tell you different. Maybe Jiminy Cricket's some sort of idealized. But I was saying, okay, I'm pulling a Jiminy Cricket. And, because the next thing that happened is, this is the turning point. I mean, I'm sure of it. Because the time was it was late in the day. We got into this place and made some call. There was a phone. It worked. So I tried to say, is this a turning point? But it was more of a Jiminy Cricket turning point. Don't break into the administration building. But in some sense, Taryn would have had an explanation. Well, a boat drive, it would be a convoluted explanation, but at least it would say, hey, I got dropped off here. Here's what happened. I needed to use the phone. No one was here. I called around for help. Payphones, there's no payphone. Payphone at the other camp's disconnected. I'll pay for the window. So I did say this to myself, because as Taryn was trying to call, but they said, oh, there's no cabs around here. And we got a friendly person on the phone who said, oh, okay. And Taryn said, well, how far am I from the ferry to Bosun Island, or Island, Bosun Castle? I don't know. I think it's just my name's I. So that makes me, and the person on the phone said, oh, yeah, about a 30-minute drive. 30-minute drive. That gives us, we've got about an hour and a half and then Terrence said, well, anyway, you could pick me up. And they said, well, actually, we're not in the same state. That's not how the information works. And they said, then Terrence said, well, what's the nearest? And they said, actually, the nearest town is the nearest cab company I could find, is this number. And then we called that number and they said, yeah, we could be there, but it'd be 2 hours. We could have somebody pick you up. You're out there, huh? And then Terrence said, what should I do? And they said, start walking. And they actually said, maybe you could go to one of, maybe somebody that lives near there, one of the summer camps or something. And Terrence said, my phone doesn't even, so then it was more frustration, right? So again, this is where I'm the Jiminy Cricket, worrying, barking, doing a lot of running around, licking. But again, I was trying to be available for Taryn, but Taryn was almost already making these Cinda-level decisions. Thus far, I was fine with it. But then Taryn started going through the drawers in the office, right? And found a key to a box on the wall that we opened that was full of keys. And there was keys to vehicles. And Taryn took the keys to the vehicle in the garage and then opened the garage. And in the garage were 2 trucks. And now I feel like Jiminy Cricket. I'm saying I'm watching my Pinocchio making poor choices and and I said, well, maybe I could relate to Jiminy Cricket here. And, I said, well, what am I going to do here? Holy cow. And Taryn does a lot of talking. So Taryn said, okay, well, let's just see if it starts, and then we'll go from there. So it's little decisions. And, of course, one of the trucks started, the other one didn't. And, okay, if it has gas, it has gas in it. And Taryn thought about it and said, well, I mean, I could be back. I'll bring it back. I'll leave a note even. And Taryn started to write a note. And then the note was so long. And then Taryn's watching the time and then said, well, maybe I'll write a shorter note explaining the longer note. But we'll probably be back in time. We can have this thing back. And I said, holy mackerel, and then the only thing I thought to do, I mean, I knew what I thought. I said, because again, from Taryn's perspective, what I think was happening was that Taryn had so much invested in being on time and getting to this thing to connect with this author. Oh, because the thing that, again, this is something I picked up from Terrence talking during all this. Well, they said if you're late, that's unacceptable. I don't know. This was just some of the stuff when Taryn was talking to themselves. So I said, holy cow. But I pulled out one of the Bosun Island mysteries with my teeth out of Taryn's bag. And it was a mystery underneath the eye well, which was AYE eye well, it was a well. I don't know. So, but that's Taryn's favorite book. That I guess Taryn had made a pitch about a show, that the pilot would be about that book. And I pulled it out, and now I did not realize this. So. But I guess, these mysteries tend to be wrapped up with, a learning lesson. And whatever the mystery of that book. Now, this was just luck or, I don't know, coincidence. but I did not, like, I couldn't just worry. So I started, like, taking this book and ruining it because this is how I felt, but I also felt like this is what Terrence, I said, these are not good choices you're making, and I can't seem to get in the way of it, so I'm going to express my frustration. But also, is it really, like, but I knew, I was like, well, this is worth it to Taryn. But also, I said, have I been so caught up in this Cinda stuff that I am lost of the long-term perspective? Like, what is, and maybe I shouldn't be making these choices, but it seems like facing the reality, because it seems like these choices are based on not reality, right? And a little bit of assumption. I have to get there. If I get there, good things are going to happen. But I have to be there on time. And the rest of these cats, because Kid Terrence said, well, what's the worst that could happen? I get caught. What if I get caught on the way there? Then, but if I get caught afterwards, I'll explain myself. Better to ask forgiveness than permission. But so the thing with the mystery of the underneath the well or whatever is that, something about, like, sometimes when you tell, like, solving the mystery and telling the truth, like, it ends up, like, backfiring, but in a way that you have to accept or something like that. And so that happened, like, so that happened to be the right book to start ruining. And Terrence said, okay, I get, like, and then looked up the number of the author, and called the author, and their assistant answered, but they said, hey, like, I'm calling, this is Taryn. Oh, Taryn, you're going to be on the last ferry? And Taryn said, no, as a matter of fact, I'm not. And they said, oh boy, there's nothing worse than being late. And actually, the author's going to be on the last ferry. We're waiting. I'm here on the island. Everything's ready. But they were going to take the last ferry with you. And as a matter of fact, I haven't heard from them. And Terrence said, isn't this their cell phone? They said, well, this is, their cell phone really for me to answer. And Terrence said, well, I want to explain what happened because it's really convoluted, like a train, a boat, like I went through a lot and I just didn't make it. And the assistant said, normally I wouldn't, but one of their favorite movies is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And this sounds like not like the movie, but it like the movie in some way. And Terrence said, what's that? And then the assistant said, it was a movie with John Candy, the beloved, and they said, one of the people from the TV show with Selena Gomez. And she said, oh, okay. Steve Martin or Martin Short? And she said, Steve Martin's in the movie. Oh, okay. I didn't know that Steve Martin was a movie actor. And the assistant kind of like said, okay, here, just call this number. And so Taryn called the number and told the author what happened. They said, well, it's too bad. And then they started laughing. They said, you were on that train? You were the one that left in the boat? And Terrence said, yeah. And I was on the train behind that train. And they actually ended up using your idea to get the tree off of there. Once the supervisor came, we were right behind that train. Eventually, we caught up with it. I left, you left a day early? Terrence said, yeah, the train, like, and there was like a lot of emotions. And the author said, well, I'm not even there. I'm not even going to make the ferry either. And said, I guess it's fate. As a matter of fact, I have to, like, I can't even go to the island now because I'm not going to make it for the last ferry. And we could probably pay them or whatever, but I have something. And she said, I'm really sorry too. Like, it looks like we just both missed out on this. And Terrence said, your assistant's on the island. She said, yeah, they'll have a party without us. That's fine. But so let's set a time to have lunch. We'll just have lunch and we'll start from there. But I'm glad you called me because, like, if you just, like, you would have never known if you just didn't show up. But even if you went there and made it, I wouldn't have made it there either. So you'd have just hung with my assistant. So I guess it all worked out the way it was supposed to, even though it didn't really work out. So then we slept here at the summer camp. And Taryn actually just like called her, like, anyway, we're getting picked up tomorrow. And we're getting the window fixed tomorrow. And we left a voicemail for the superintendent of these summer camps. So we don't know if we'll hear from them. But I guess it worked out. So I think about the Jiminy Cricket thing. If like, one other way things can go when you're trying to help, that maybe they shouldn't go. So I don't know. I'm still learning. This is written. I think we're done here. And this should be my last report about this one, but I'll be back in another pet soon. All right, I just want to thank everybody that reviewed the show recently on Apple Podcast. Amy Loves Sleep says thanks for Safe Place. Very appreciative. Helped wound up day and nights. Hope you know or can at least imagine how valuable this is. Weird how a stranger can make you feel comfortable. I was saying I'm just here to be with you through the deep dark night. Something I never thought I needed. And then SI7777 says, yes. So confuse it, make me go to sleep. Very good. CT says this really helps. Have this podcast exist during exam periods. I can't sleep one night without it. Wolfie says yes, just yes. I love this podcast because I don't need to listen, and it gives people who don't like the podcast an option. But I like the theme song the best. And we got FJD from Canada says works great, and I think I never stay awake long enough to tell. Used to have trouble with my mind racing. Now I just throw this on. Problem solved. I don't know if it gets better. I've never made it through the intro. Awake in AZ. So maybe somebody from Arizona says, this is a strange trip. Works in the most annoying way. This is a 5-star review, though, so we'll see how it turns out. Not sure how Scooter does it. Rambling so inanely that one can't help but fall back to sleep. Just as I realized I was clenching my jaw in annoyance and was about to give in to switch to another podcast, I heard him mumbling about something about making sure my vacant stare was slack in the jaw. And I stayed with it through this course, a reader of insomniac minds. So next time I need it, I'll adjust the settings and turn it off after one episode. But I'm not exactly looking forward to it. And let's see, that one's not accurate. And then Levin says essential. Found the podcast during college in 2019 with my roommate best friend went abroad, and I had a new roommate who snored. My friend and I would always talk before going to sleep, so not having her company left me awake and lonely. Sleep with me is a friend in the deep dark night I needed, and Scoots kept me company across 3 continents, many countries and time zones since. Now as an adult, I always put on Sleep with Me as my best friend, and I drift off to snooze when we have the rare sleepover. Oh, the best friend listens too. So thanks everybody who listens to the show. Really appreciate it. Who supports the show directly or supports the sponsors. That's how we're free. And we grow as a podcast by people just spreading the word. So spreading the word is a huge help too. And I really appreciate it. And yeah, I think that's it. What do you say? Put on a Tuck You In sponsor, Scoots here, so we can keep expanding the archives and keep the show going. Thanks and good night.